Okay, I asked a question to speak in general on pride, denial, and humility, and also a question on my love of my teacher, who is Dr. David R. Hawkins, and my love for God, which is I've never been asked that, so that's a lovely question. Okay, pride, denial, and humility. The I mean, this is just denial is the classic of and was one of the main mechanisms of the ego is to deny, to repress, and to project onto others the thing that I can't own in myself. And so, for example, if I'm dishonest, I deny I'm dishonest. I steal food, for example, and I get angry at other people who steal food because I'm innocent and they're the bad people for stealing food. I never steal food. It operates like that. Or the thing that I repress in myself, I get furious at others doing it because I've not released it in myself, and so I track it and see it in others. So there can be that aspect of denial operating. It's a mechanism that hides it that it's in me. And usually, if I see it in other people, it means I've not forgiven it in myself. In some aspect, it's dwelling within me. Humility, at each level of consciousness, as described by Hawkins, of the different vibratory levels of consciousness, each level has intrinsic to it um, aspects of pride, denial, and humility. And as you go to high vibrations, you have different aspects of pride, denial, and humility. I mean, for example, below integrity, the pride would often be like, I'm more superior than God, than divinity. So then my ego it leads to narcissism and self-centeredness. So I'm the center of the universe. I'm the most important. No one else counts. There is no God. I'm not accountable to divinity and divine principles. I'm not accountable to anybody else. I make up the rules, and so that's extreme levels of egotistic pride, you know, and don't you know how important I am? Don't you know that everyone should respect my feelings and not say anything that offends me, blah, blah, blah. So that's a level of sort of pride below in 200, below integrity. But yeah, even at advanced levels, there's different levels of pride. So as you go to, and different levels of denial and humility. So as you go to more advanced levels, the humility is in recognizing that my ego thinking and my identification with the limited self, the separate self, is the humility is that that's not the truth and or the essence of what I am. So, to then think that I am the limited body is my true nature, and my limited thinking is my true nature, is a form of pride, you see. So, and it's a denial of the my infinite nature. I mean, the big book also talks about it. Am I trusting my finite self for infinite God? So either I'm in my limited ego, or I'm in the infinite, the my infinite presence, which is eternal and undying and forever, and is beyond all limited ideas or programs or thoughts, or even the limitation of the physical body. So there's pride, there, I mean, there's different levels of pride. Humility is recognizing that the limited thinking and the limited body and the limitations of this world are the things that are me or define me. And humility would be recognizing they're not, you see. The pride is, or the pride would be like, I'm a super thinker. I'm very intelligent, or, I mean, one can also get, I mean, at the advanced levels, you have spiritual pride, which is like, I have more spiritual knowledge than everyone in the room. Don't you know how many books on spirituality I've read? Don't you know I understand everything there is to understand about spirituality. You know, I've got a PhD in spirituality. You've hardly read any books. So that would be spiritual pride, you know, or I can forgive people better, faster and better, have a better process than you do. Again, spiritual pride, lack of. So with these levels, they also stop awareness of higher vibrations and higher levels of consciousness and the higher realms because you're still holding on to things which you're unaware of, which are in your unconscious, which you haven't processed through yet, which you're in denial and projecting out there and not owning in yourself. So they're different at different levels. Let's take, for example, so Hawkins describes them. There's neutrality, then there's the level of being in the head, then there's the level of conditional love. Like I love nice people, but I judge bad people and I want to kill them. So that's conditional love. You know, I love my parents, but I don't love people from that group of people, you know. So that's then limited love. And then you have unconditional love. I love my parents. I also love prisoners. I love gangsters. You know, there isn't anything in this world that blocks the state of love. So there is no limiting belief that comes up that anything or any person, any tree, any bird, any individual is blocks there's no thought there that would block projection of a judgment. So the love, then the infinite presence of love remains in all places, in all states, in all conditions, no matter what. It's irrelevant whether, you know, whether a saint is in front of you or a gangster killer is in front of you. It doesn't stop the state of infinite love and presence. So, you know, so the levels of enlightenment, that is the state, and there is no fluctuation to limitation because they've all been erased. So that would be enlightenment, the states of enlightenment. So pride. So you see the also, I mean, as Hawkins decided, there's various lessons and traps to go to more elevated levels. So one then thinks if one has power, for example, advanced levels, then one can use that power to help others as the way one sees fit, as opposed to surrender that power to God, you know, and see that it's God, not the individual who exercises power over others. So there's various lessons in denial and humility, and there's different levels of traps of pride at different vibrations as well. Um, okay, so yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I could talk. I mean, there's so much to do. I mean, each individual has different aspects of pride, denial, and lack of humility going on. Now, so second part of this video is on my love for my teacher and my love for God. This is like, you know, this really ignites the fire in me. And I don't want to put people off. I know people will use this video in the wrong way to say, well, that's easy for you. And I don't, no, I didn't have that. I had a near-death spiritual experience where I felt a heavenly peace beyond this realm. And I didn't want to, I mean, if I had a choice, I wouldn't come back into the body. I mean, that place is far, far more beautiful and divine and infinite and never ending and free of all trouble. It's a state of kind of mellow peace and bliss and heavenly rest. So yeah, unfortunately, I came back into the body and yeah, I'm back in this world. But anyway, so that's my first taster of God. Um, I mean, this realm seems to be much more difficult than that vibration for sure. Um, then yes, my second thing that led to, of course, that's you know, the love of heaven, the love of God, the love of the divine states. That's the first one. And then, of course, I was given a DVD mystically after the near death. And I had my second spiritual experience, which was a Kundalini. I now realize the tingling up the spine, a state of profound bliss as I started to watch a DVD of David Hawkins, my teacher. And it was, I say, I never had spiritual experiences before when I was in active addiction. None, not none, none whatsoever. But that was after the near death. They started happening all over the place, and of course it was like God had told me. David Hawkins, Dr. David R. Hawkins, is going to be your spiritual teacher, and it's not a thing of thinking this. It's just like you're struck by a profound state as a man starts to speak, and there's a knowingness from deep within that he's your teacher for life, as orchestrated by God. You know, I mean, it's just not a mental thing. It's not a mental choice. It's just like you're struck by lightning. And so that was kind of absolutely clear. And it was great because he was my teacher and I'm not interested in other teachers. And so I don't actually relate to people shopping around with lots of different things. And I did get to meet him, and just meeting him, yeah, I had, for example, yeah, I think, yeah, I had gout. I used to have things in my feet would swell up in awful pain. I remember Hawkins had transcended gout on his video of transcending illnesses through spiritual means. I remember shaking his hand and a vibration went in my foot. I knew you get the grace of the guru because he's at that frequency, all the lessons he's learned transmitted to you. So he just passes it on. So, and I just got it from him. Lots of things he transcended. He had Bill Wilson as his sponsor, transcended a lot of addictions. And after that, the miracles that happened, my addiction to food stopped, my three illnesses within 3 to 5 years of following his methods, all released. My kidney failure, my gout, my asthma, just following the teachings he said. He's also, of course, a miracles teacher. And also with another teacher, I had a white light. He teaches the observer. Unfortunately, he's fallen from grace. I no longer recommend him because of yeah, lots of anyway. There was a lot of things come out about him on the internet, and it's obvious he fell for tempt. It was possible for teachers to fall for temptation, unfortunately. Anyway, that's another topic, not for this video. And anyway, but he did say I was doing the observer practice, the observer behind the thoughts of the body, and he said to me, "Okay, you're aware of an observer behind you, but what's behind the observer?" And as he said that, he said, "Look, have a look. What's behind the observer?" So behind the, and then suddenly I had a white light spiritual experience, and that was the most spectacular by far. The world disappeared in infinite light and power and love at a level which is so extreme and so beautiful. Of course, no world can exist in that state. I mean, it is infinite love and light. So it's obvious it's the light of God, and it's beyond this realm, and this realm can never exist there, and it's more profound than anything. So that's the love of God. So profound love for my teacher, Dr. David R. Hawkins. That's not a mental thing. That's not because a mental choice that came through, being struck with a profound spiritual experience as he spoke on a DVD. I also got to meet him, luckily in America a couple of times. And the white light, which is more spectacular than the near death, is yeah, it's obvious the love of God is beyond this realm and far more powerful and the originator of all form, and is definitely not me and my ego. It's got nothing to do with that. It is the source which is the source of everything. So I have love and respect for divinity, for God, the creator. That's kind of obvious. And I have an extreme love for my teacher and the grace he imparted on me just by meeting him. And I know that the light shall set me free, and that is the drive. Of course, you see, then the reversal occurs because usually I used to be an addict, so it's like objects in the world, sex, donuts, yeah, validation. That would be the thing that would give me the highest joy. But now, if you have mystical experiences, then it's obvious there's nothing in this world that can be higher than the love of God. And actually, to chase anything else would be dumb because, an orgasm, a chocolate cake, getting the validation of a group of people. I mean, that it just doesn't compare to the pursuit of enlightenment and the return to the love of God. So, um, yeah. I also went to, kidney failure. I also have to mention this because people get the wrong expression. When I had kidney failure, that was hell, literally. I mean, it was horrific. Dialysis machines, surgeries. I mean, it's gory, horrific. It is a level of hell. So I've been to hell and I've been to heaven, and I can tell you it's good because if you've been to very dark places, you never want to go back there. 100 miles, I don't want to go back to hell. And if you experience mystical states and the love of God, then you want to do that. You don't want to substitute that for other stuff in the world because you wouldn't, if you'd experienced the love of God, I mean, then it's kind of obvious. I mean, that is the thing that pulls you forth. Um, but everyone's free to do what they want. But I think experiencing the horrors of hell and experiencing the light of God, it is beneficial. But it's just very helpful. Okay, so I think that was a very long video. But anyway, I'll stop.